Yeah, hello, welcome to the community webinar. Happy to have you on board this evening. And yeah, we're excited to welcome you to the new Ninox. After quite intense work, we're really happy to have this new release 3.0 live now. But it's not only a new release, so it determines a new era and the beginning of a lot of things that will happen around the Ninox platform. But first of all, let us have a look back what has happened in the last years. So I'm glad to see a lot of people that are here this evening. We know them quite well for quite some time. And I also want to say thank you for really being early adapters of a new kind of technology, for your commitment, evangelizing for Ninox, and all of your feedback to shape development of Ninox. But I'm also thankful, and I would like to look back at myself 5 years ago, before I met Frank here in Berlin in the co-working space. And basically, I was trying to learn how to code. And I have to say, no chance. So it would have taken a couple of years. Luckily, I met Frank, who showed me Linux, and I understood. So I don't have to be a developer by myself to create custom business applications. And this is exciting, and this was exciting, and it is still exciting to have the superpower to create custom business applications with no code. And yeah, and this is why we have done what we're doing, why we created the new version of Ninox, because we want to share this excitement with the larger audience and open this amazing no-code framework to enable them basically to transform from users to no-code champions.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah?
Can you please give me the control as host? Or you can switch on the video for Frank.
Ah, okay. Okay, that's a good point. Frank?
Frank can't switch on his video. I don't know what
Okay.
happened. You have to do it for him or make you.
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, now it's possible.
Yeah.
Nice. Good evening, guys. And thanks for the nice introduction, Alex. It's exactly the point. Ninox is all about enablement. It's about empowering. It's about creating. It's about being able to build something that is maybe not on the market yet, or that doesn't work as you want it. And Ninox is there to help you guys build the ideal and perfect solution. And I also have to emphasize what Alex already mentioned. We are really a community-driven brand, and all the feedback we receive from you guys helps us a lot. It helps us keep going. It helps us to refine our vision. It helps us to understand how the product has to evolve. And we want to share it with more and more people. And that's why I think this new release 3.0 is a really, really big and important step for the company and for the product and for the community, because we think the first impression a user has when he opens a new account and enters the product and sees the options that are available, this very first impression is super important. And we want to bring Ninox to a level that helps more and more users to understand its value proposition and to understand what they can achieve with it. And that's why we think the first impression has to be very, very important. And this was one of the major points that drove the decision, or our decision, to not only do a slide update, but bring the whole experience, the whole way how Ninox is perceived as a brand, how we communicate on our marketing websites, how we display the product, how we help users to get into the product, that this has to be revolved and brought to the next level. And without any further ado, I want to introduce to you guys the guy behind all that, the one and single Robert Voloshinovsky, who spent a lot of his time in the last couple of 8 months, I think, on how we can make that happen. And yeah, Robert, please take the chance and explain to us your rationale, what drove your decisions, how did you approach this project, and what do we have now? What do we see in front of us? Robert, it's up to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Frank, for the introduction. I hope the sound is okay. Please let me know if not. Yeah, it's a big, exciting week for us here at Ninox because, as Frank said, the last 6 months and Alex as well were busy, not just because of Corona, but also because of this redesign. And I'm happy to introduce you, to give you a bit of background why we did it, and a bit of an overview what we did. And then after this, it will probably take like 10 to 15 minutes. Maybe we can give you a walkthrough. So I will switch my screen now, share the presentation, and then I would like to switch back to Frank, to you, when we do the walkthrough, so that we can do it based from your screen. Okay? Frank, your microphone is muted, but I think it's okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, share my screen. That takes just a second. So now everyone should see the presentation, I hope. Frank, maybe, or Akash, if there is something, I don't see any chat or other windows, so please raise your voice so that I can hear you and I recognize there's something wrong. Okay.
There's a single thing, Robert, if you would mute your own speaker, then it would improve the sound quality.
I mute my speaker, but then I don't hear you. Okay. 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 Well, Frank, is the sound okay right now or no?
It's perfect.
Okay, good. So, okay, then let's get this started. So, yes, this is where we all started. I think what we are familiar with, the good old Ninox UI, a lot of gray, a lot of functionality, and many, many users and a growing community, which had to make this product successful. And we're super proud of that. And when we sit together last December, we just started with a reflection on where Ninox is and what it stands for based on the user feedback and our daily interaction with many of you. And we realized before we can move with the, let's say, the layout and the visuality and the functionality of things, we can move to the next stage. We need to sit down and just reflect a bit on who we are and what drives our decisions. And looking back, I would say, Frank, please interrupt me if you want to add something or correct. But I would say we had 3 stages in this redesign, and the first one was that we had a reflection on the brand before we moved on, and we're looking for low-hanging fruits. Let's say, how can we fix the first impression within a short amount of time so that you can all experience it as fast as possible, as soon as possible, before we enter the stage in which we are currently, which is all about normalizing the general user experience. Let me give you some details. Stage 1, back in December, January, we were talking a lot about who we are and what makes Ninox Ninox. And we reviewed thousands of feedbacks. We were talking to customers, to partners, to new joiners, to existing customers. Of course, we talked within the team as well. And as a result of that, we realized that Ninox is a very community-driven brand. So we realized that we are actually very, very proud of, and we had the feeling that everyone in the community was proud of as well, that Ninox is such a people-driven experience. And there is an archetype which is called the everyman. You could translate it in like the friendly neighbor, you know. It's kind of people experience, down to earth, honest, welcoming, easy to approach, reliable and helpful, and kind of respectful experience. This is what we realized. This is what Ninox, beside all features as a brand, probably stands for. And all the next steps in terms of how we translated this into a new visuality or an updated look, and then later feel as well, is based on this. So this is what we think is Ninox, and this is what we think also makes Ninox different. Ninox as the product, the company, but of course, like all the people, all the users, the partners behind it. And I think especially the first line in days and times like these is a very important one. Ninox is not at all about an exclusive kind of experience just for elite or kind of flagship customers or clients. And while we were talking about this and we realized what Ninox, what our values are really based on, we also realized that we could give our mission a bit of a reshape, a redefinition, a refocus. And we aligned on this, what you see here. So Ninox is about enable people to solve problems with software, but no code. Let's say less and less code. So it's about, Ninox is for operational teams, for people, for individuals, but for teams as well who need to get things done. Ninox is about reliability. It's about, it just works. Maybe it's not all the fancy features in the world, but all the features you need to get your job done. And as you all know, I mean, a mission is the path, right, to this desirable future. So it doesn't mean we are already there, but hopefully you will understand that this is what drives us, and this is what you can expect from us, what we try to deliver against, based on your feedback. And yeah, so with this in mind, we just went out and took like a look on the market, because like not just the user base and the community is growing, but of course, more and more competitors, more and more solutions. There's a really diverse landscape. And this is just an example of what we were looking for in the first step, translating these values into, for example, colors. And you see Monday, Airtable, and others. They're very, very bright and very, very colorful. And we thought, okay, Ninox is colorful as well, but Ninox is not about, let's say, sugar and candy. Ninox is about the real thing. And this led us to a brightened color palette, but with a bit more subtle colors, for example, which help you to get your job done. They don't stay too much in your eyes. And of course, what you see in the app currently is just the first step. We will further improve, let's say, theming and accessibility topics, but this was the first step. The same goes for illustrations. So Ninox is a lot about the applications you can build with Ninox. They are so diverse. There are so many industries, so many use cases, and illustrations, having a distinctive illustration style is a really important element of a consistent brand experience these days, because it also helps your customers, your users to identify what is Ninox and to build trust. And so on the left side, what you see was the situation back in the days. There was a lot of different styles and different, let's say, visualities used. And we worked on that and hopefully came up with a very distinctive, simplified, approachable, modern look for our illustrations. And now we are built based on that. so that the overall experience gets more and more consistent also in this regard. And yeah, of course, we also looked at the general logo, wordmark, and symbol. I'm not sure of how many of you in the call find this interesting, but just that you know that we looked a lot also into the details of our wordmark and logo mark. And we were thinking about harmonizing, like the spacings, the roundings. Ninox as a wordmark now, we decided for small letters because we think that is much more modern and approachable, and creates less this kind of traditional corporate look, you know, where the corporate is coming in big letters and big edgy letters, right? So hopefully this approachable and down to earth quality you will also feel when you look just on something simple like our new logo. On the left side, you see where we were coming from. On the right side, you see where we ended up. Yeah, and then the second stage was to fix the first impression, which means we had to refresh the look for all products and marketing channels. And you probably have experienced some of the results of that. Maybe something not everyone recognized yet, but we updated the font as well. So we decided for a font which has much more coverage than the existing one, the previous one. Also paying into our growing user base and growing geographies all over the world. So we need to make sure that Ninox is working consistently also in terms of branding in, for example, Asian languages and other languages than just, let's say, English and German. And of course, there are many languages delivered already, but there will be probably more in the future. And then we translated this into the UI, the user interface elements of our loved Ninox app. And just see it as a starting point. It's an evolutionary let's say, strategy. So we didn't want to reinvent the wheel and start completely from scratch. So within the constraints of time and other factors, I think, yeah, we can all be looking forward to a more brighter, more positive future working with Ninox, where you hopefully also get this this new or not new, but this refreshed personality of Ninox through the everyday usage of our product. Just an example, on the left side, you see the color palettes as they were existing, and on the right side, you see the new ones. We are pretty aware that there are, if you have a growing user base, accessibility is a #1 priority, and you can be sure that we are working on, that we think about sorry about my English, that we think about themes, font sizes, contrast, and so on and so forth. And we are pretty aware of the fact that customization is a huge topic. So far, we hope you understand that we just limit the customization when it comes to accessibility features, mostly to the platform you're using, let's say iOS or Android or Windows or any browser environments, but there will be more in the future about this. But hopefully, you understand that the new style is much more friendly and less corporate and a bit more about people and life than it was maybe before. So here you see a fancy little animation before and after. And yeah, hopefully you like it as much as we do. I think we will discuss details of this in the Q&A afterwards. There is another thing here, which, just checking the time, which you see here in the corner. This is a test we did back in March, and we will bring it back. This is part of the next story. I just come in a moment. Here you see examples for the website. You see other websites from competitors in certain markets, and you see we try to match the first impression. with these competitors. So some other examples, and of course we will spread this to the whole Ninox universe. What is even more important now is the next step. So this is about meet baseline expectations, more and more functional in the app, right? Whether it's the web app or the native mobile apps and so on and so forth. And what you just saw here on this little screenshot, this blue thing here, this was product tours. So this is something you could expect when you onboard nowadays to a modern SaaS product, that you would have a little assistant which gives you a bit of guidance, whether it's new features or some advanced topics. And this is something you don't find in the current product because we switched it off. It was just a test, but the test was very, very well running and validated our assumptions that the first time experience will be much more seamless and fun, and will provide more value, or the actual Ninox power faster, that people have this ah moment until they can then explore the rest by themselves. There are other features which we already deployed with this release, but just to give you some examples, and there's more to come. For example, I don't know how many of you knew or have seen that we updated the tutorial section. So of course the screenshots are dated now. We will update this as well. But we learned from the community that there was a request, a wish for or need for build from scratch tutorials. So how can I build an app, whatever app? In this case, it's an event manager from scratch, and we walk you through that with animations, with a much more improved content discovery, and we hope you like it. You will find this in the manual tutorial section. Unfortunately, the website has 2 tutorial sections right now, but this one is in manual and then tutorials there. Maybe you have recognized that we also improved the navigation. So again, this was more evolutionary than revolutionary. So we made it more consistent with the overall approach. And we swapped the toolbar, this white one, with the view bar, which is the top one, because we think it's a much more straightforward navigation. When you first you think about the view, and then within the view, a table or card or whatever, then you do certain things with your content. I think that this is much more straightforward and will hopefully help you to get more done faster. Final example here, just on the slides, is that, as I said, customization is a huge topic for us, and this is just the first step. So we know that there are many different situations where you need higher information density, but at the same time, there are also other situations where you need less density. So now you can adjust it according to your needs. We started to roll out this feature just for tables, and currently it will be applied to all your tables, and we improve on that. But so far, the feedback has been really good. That was something that many of you were asking for. Yeah, with that, I thought, Frank, let's have a tour. I hope that was helpful. If not, let me know in the Q&A. And otherwise, Frank, please.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. And thank you specifically for explaining that this is not just a new painting over the old product. It's much more. We really thought deep about the core values of our product and the community around it. And as Robert mentioned, it's a starting point. Yeah, we are trying to build up a baseline, and from that baseline, we want to excel in the specific areas that make Ninox unique. And so take this as a first step on a longer pathway. And I'm told I should not promise anything, but what I can tell is that we will have faster release cycles, and we will see a lot of changes in the upcoming months. So maybe I take this opportunity now to dive into the actual product. I'm sharing my screen here. Oops, That's the wrong.
Was it just a
one.
question? How's it working? Will there be audio from the participants, or is it just reading?
It's just right now it's just us, and when we start with the Q&A, participants will have the chance to enter the panel. So maybe first of all, let's look at the new website, just switching to English here. So you have already seen this on the presentation. So we updated literally any asset here, and put a high emphasis on a consistent styling, and that consistency goes from the website directly into the product, so that we no longer have this visual break between different worlds on the website and then the actual app. I just start my Ninox here, and I'm logged in with this fancy Ninox user here. And yeah, this is the start screen. So it's not, it's actually the same layout when you know the old one. But we have now this consistent tabbing system that's throughout the same throughout the application. We have a modernized template library. We will definitely spend time later this year, and we already started with the project to improve the overall quality and range of templates we offer. I think templates can be a really great starting point for new customers to understand the capabilities of Ninox, but also for there can be also key turn solutions. So we'll definitely invest into this section. We'll also have the onboarding tools soon back in the product. And let me just enter this invoicing database. It's from our template library. So as you can see here, we, for example, it's a very tiny and subtle thing. So we changed the background for the start screen, but I think it already delivers a much better impression when I first time open my Ninox. We got some feedback here on the icons. So what we didn't touch is the icon system for the tables. It's still the old icons. We wanted to preserve them, but definitely this new design literally cries for also an adjusted icon set that new customers can use, or you guys can use for and exchange for your existing databases. So what else do we have here? I mean, on the screen, not so much. All the other options are kind of still the same. But we can take a look now at some of the new features we brought. It's just a couple of them, but as Robert already has displayed, you're now able to adjust the column size, the row height, sorry, and you can reduce that to, I'm not super sure, I think 28 pixels or so. It will stick around this default size, but you can also increase it. And that's a great feature, particularly when you have a lot of data in a cell. I'm not sure if I have something here, maybe from our customer, we take the address information. And as you can see, as soon as we have this increased row height, the text will now break within the cell, and you will be able to display just more information. That's been long requested by a lot of customers, and now it's there. In the first iteration, it's a global setting, but we are very well aware that this is something you probably want to set up distinctively for each view, and maybe even for subtables. So let's talk a little bit about subtables. So there's a small change. So in the old version, we had this plus and looper lens icon here in the top right, which, well, was very functional as soon as you understand the functionality behind it, but particularly for new customers, it was very counterintuitive, and also we felt that it is very misaligned here in the top right. So that's why we added those buttons here on the bottom of the table view. I can create new records right from here. Another also little detail. Oh no, it's not there yet. But probably we will switch this and have this more customized, and then it will spot something like create invoice item. Also some very small detail here that we mentioned, for example, here the name of the table we want to search in. It's just a subtle thing, but might help new customers to distinguish this search functionality from this one. Another thing that was quite, and I think that's a bigger one, was quite counterintuitive, was the switch between the normal form-based view of Ninox, which is kind of the default mode. So whenever I hit a row here, I will open up the form of this individual record. But we also have this, and had in previous versions, a table or a spreadsheet mode, as we call it internally. So with the spreadsheet mode, you're able to work much more productively with your data. Problem for a lot of new customers was, how can I get back? We had this, if you remember, this mode switch on top of the view, but it was really hard to find. So now we offer options, more intuitive options to get out of this mode. One is just click here, or the other, as soon as this form vanishes, we have this little dash, which will help you to gain it back. So small change, but definitely one of the key problems a lot of new users encountered. So now something more for the the power users of Ninox. It's about the conditional formatting. You already know that Ninox provides a lot of options to display more colorful values here, but sometimes you don't want to have a choice field. Yeah? You just have maybe a numeric value, and you want to make sure that if it meets certain criteria, it should be displayed in a different way. And that's why we brought the conditional styling option. It's right now available on text-based and number-based columns. And I'll just do a little experiment here on the net total. So here's my invoice table. Obviously, an invoice with an amount of 0 is not very useful. So maybe I want to add a little warning here. I just click on the column header here and hit on conditional styling, which will prompt me with a very empty dialog. But I have this add rule button here. And I can say, whenever the value of this of the cell is 0, let me just add a small question mark. And there you go. And of course, you can have multiple rules. You could, for example, say, if the value is higher than 100, then make the text, maybe not the text, make the full cell background purple. Yeah, so things like that give you a lot of options to add more color and more information to your data set. And I think it's a great feature. Here it's very dynamic. Who wants to really go beyond basic stuff can also use the formula operator, and then just have arbitrary Ninox scripting expressions like I don't know, due date, probably smaller than today, and also use this as a styling option. So a lot of options we offer with the conditional styling. And let me just recap. I think with the resizable row height and the conditional styling, guys, you need to help me. There was a third one. I just forgot about it, Alex.
Deep links?
Ah, the deep links. Wow, yeah. The deep links is quite interesting because it was such a super hard engineering problem, and it is also aligned with what Robert mentioned. We want to match the expectations of user experience these days. And one expectation might be if you are in a certain state in your product and you just add a bookmark, for example, and you go back later to your bookmarks. I personally don't work with bookmarks that much, but let's give it a try. That you end up in this very same position within your product. So, and also that, for example, you can use the navigation options your browser provides. This might also look like a very normal thing, but it cost us, or it was a pretty tough engineering job, and I'm super grateful for the guys who behind that, who made that happen. And it opens up a opportunity for future improvements. Definitely, you can already now just copy and paste those deep links and share it with your teammates. We already get a lot of requests of people asking, yeah, I want to create this deep link dynamically with an Ninox scripting function. And that's certainly something we can easily add in the future, so that you can really build full-blown workflows based on this linking system, because you could have a button that automatically creates an email, maybe to a colleague of you, and the colleague can click on a link within that email and will end up in the right place in the product. So it's a baseline feature, but it offers a huge potential for further improvements. So, and I think overall we covered the features we have in this new release. The main focus was, as mentioned, to refresh the branding, to refresh the first impression, and to build the baseline for our future paths to heavily improve on user experience. And for sure, we won't let you down on the feature side. There is a lot in our backlog, and we are working on bringing this in line and prioritizing it properly. And I think we'll be able to communicate that soon. So that was Ninox 3.0 short product presentation. So I think we are ready for the Q&A. Are we?
Yes, Frank. Anyone who has questions for Frank or Robert or Alex can please raise their hand. We will add them to the panel. And you can ask your question live. Okay, we have a first question, second.
Yeah, that's great. I think first one was Bruce. So Bruce, please unmute yourself. Welcome to the panel. Happy to hear what.
There, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, here's my question. In the version 3.0 on the Mac app, I do not use the cloud. I have a option under view that says show tab bar. And it doesn't do anything.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything on my system.
Show tab bar.
Yeah, under.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, hang on.
We can look together.
Let me see where I can share this screen. Video settings. No. How do I share my screen?
Hey, there's a green button. Share screen. It should be like right below the Zoom, in the Zoom window.
Share screen.
And then you have to pick your screen.
Okay, let me find the screen that I want to share. This one right here. Share. You didn't see me smiling when you said the green button because I'm colorblind.
Ah,
So that means nothing.
and
Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now.
yeah.
Okay, so then you see right here, show tab bar, and I do that. And I've got a bar up here, but it doesn't do anything. I don't know what it does.
That's a good point. I think it doesn't do anything.
No. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm pointing that out to you then. All right. And then the only other thing I'd like to comment on, and I know you folks know this, but the user forum is horrific. It could be so helpful if it actually was usable, like you could search for what you had written, post that you put on there, or be able to search. You can't even search and find anything. I'm so looking forward to the day when you change that format to something that is usable. And there are so many options out there for a good forum.
The forum. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what the tab bar does. Maybe you guys can figure that out at some point and let us know.
Yeah, that's actually a good question.
Okay.
The show tab bar. I have it as well.
I've been posting.
Okay. That's actually interesting.
Sorry, but Bruce, thank you for the tip on the forum. That is actually something like we are currently in the process, as well as like general content audit, where the idea is, yes, Ninox is community and people driven. Yes, there is a lot of content, but also, yes, it's so hard to find the good content. And this is what we definitely have on our agenda, to help you and everyone to find the relevant content faster in the channel you currently are. So that's one of the big initiatives, right?
You do understand that it could be such a helpful tool.
Yes.
And I do get a lot of help from people there, but it's only, I can't search to find the help. I have to post, and then somebody has to reply, and then I get an email that they replied. Also, I've been using the beta team change request, just letting you folks know that I post in there often things that, I think could be improved and changed. And I'd want to also comment, I really like 3.0. I mean, I think it's a huge improvement over previous versions, and thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah, we are really glad to hear that. Thank you.
I'll let other people, I'll stop sharing. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your input, Bruce.
Sure. It would be nice to see a world map, like with all the regions where people are. Like, how many people are in the call, actually? Do we know that? 72?
Yeah.
72, it says, yeah.
Okay, so this is, okay.
Okay, Robert Manista, you're also in the panel, and everyone else. So if you feel like to get invited to the panel, raise please and give some feedback, or ask the question. So please raise your hand, and we'll happily invite you to the panel. Yeah, but let's start. Let's get started, Robert. So please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Maybe
we can go with Andreas.
Yeah.
Hello?
Andreas? Yep.
Yeah. First, thanks for the lot of new function. I'm sure that that will be nice. I would have a small request regarding the table headers. This is very useful. It was before, and maybe I will show you the screen. So the old version. This is the old version, yeah. I have here a table where I have another table, let's say here, there's companies and there are persons, behind. So, and you see, in a few companies, I have persons behind. The same table, the same company, with the new version, this is missing here. So this information is in the database, but I cannot show it. So, and if somebody comes, oh, what is it? There's nothing is written. So only this header, this is number one I like to request. And the second one, what you have in the, this is a small thing, but actually if you work on that, you're missing this information. I don't know what is there because the header's missing. If here I have people's, okay, then the header's there, but here's not showing. So, and the second one is you have the new function, which I honestly like. These buttons here, they are very useful buttons for searching or to develop. Instead, the old version was this plus, that this is very good for working. The only thing is this is under the table. Please put this up the table. If you have a lot of things, you have always to scroll down, and it makes the work with the database very ineffective. I mean, here I have only a few, but I know in a lot of other tables or databases, there's always this problem. You have, let's say, 100 things. Every time you have to go down to the end. So these are the two requests I would like at least, if that's possible, to change.
Yeah, we already see this is controversial. Dirk says, no, please leave it under the table. So it's so controversial that it maybe the better solution could be in the future a configuration option for that. Andreas, I mean, you can limit the height of the table, right? Normally it's limited, so the content of the table would scroll and not the full form.
Yeah, that's the point. The header of the table, if you have nobody, I'm looking where you see here's nobody in, so I see nothing. And if I go, let's say, I open this so that I can act, okay, I only see these two things.
Mm.
So, but I don't know what is there in, and somebody who's working with this doesn't know what kind of information is there because the header's missing. The old version was much better. At least you have seen this one. This kind of information is there. This one I can add.
Yeah, that's a good.
These two things. This is very. Let's say this makes a lot, and even this is very good that you have replaced these two buttons with the new buttons. Very good. For working on iPad or whatever is very good. But these two things, can you also please put here? I have a lot of customers, they call me and they say, oh, this is horrible because every time I have to scroll down, and then I have to put this in.
Okay.
Okay, so that was my things. All it makes good appearance, a lot of new things. I think it's a good step forward. We will see. We still have to work, or we will still work and look forward with Ninox for the new things coming up.
Thank you so much, Andreas. We definitely take this into consideration and think about how we can improve this behavior.
Okay, we still have Robert with us. Robert,
are you here? And there's also something in the chat. Yeah, hi, Robert.
No, that's different.
Yeah, please go. Everyone is called Robert today. So please raise your hand. It's Robert's day.
Yeah.
So there's some request from Basti. So
okay, Uwe is joining us.
So what does it say? Please, let's hide the two buttons. So Basti, if you like, can also show us. If you raise your hand. Yeah, but
Yeah, I'm adding it.
hi, Uwe.
The question is,
Uber.
ideally, we can spend the time to work a bit more about broader things than, let's say, individual like the issues, because like we have a lot of opportunities to contact our support, right? So the idea was that we just discuss more the redesign in a maybe more general way here. I think we have 8 minutes left or something, right? Is it Akash or Alex? Is it until 7? Yeah, right.
Yeah, we have a couple of minutes.
So I wouldn't go in too much detail like about like individual bugs or something, but maybe if there is someone who has a bit more broader feedback about the general redesign, that would be helpful.
Yes. Hello, this is Uwe from currently Hamburg. And I would like to hear about your future roadmap. What is on your roadmap for further development? Do you have a priority list where we can see as users where you're headed to? Because quite honestly, your major redesign of your user interface came quite as a surprise to me, because you have that wonderful request, change request database. Where we can see what is on the agenda and what is under development, but unfortunately, it's not really quite up to date. It hasn't really seen your new version yet, 3.0. So if that would be more in line with what you're actually doing, so we users would get a better impression what you're headed up for.
Yes, I mean, first of all, thanks for coming back to this. We are super proud that this kind of feedback loop is working so well. So it's full of requests, the CRDB, and it's not the only channel where we collect and try to understand better, like the let's say the actual needs behind someone wishing something. Currently, we are in consolidation of all those channels, because as you can understand, a growing user base also means, let's say, a growing quantity of this type of feedback. And what we're doing currently is consolidating all these channels and identifying major themes, let's say, behind them, right? So we try to categorize like all of those issues into kind of, if you want, like boxes, and we prioritize this amongst other criteria based on the upvoting in the CRDB. So hopefully during the next, let's say, for a couple of weeks, definitely we have more clarity on. I mean, we are aware of most of those topics. The question is just like, what makes sense in which order, right? Based on the current resources. You never have constraint on ideas, but always one on resources. And the question is not if, but when, right? In order to figure this out, we are currently sitting together. For the last weeks, we were busy with this one. But what you just mentioned is, and what I just described, is definitely the focus of the next couple of days. And then you should expect an update soon. Yeah.
Another question I have is, in your introduction, you mentioned that Ninox is a no-code environment, which actually is not. It is a low-code environment. But do you intend to reduce the amount of coding ability in Ninox to make it more usable for every kind of user? Or are you going to maintain the level of low code? Or do you also intend to go both ways?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, because we were having this discussion with G2 Crowd a couple of months back, because they're the two categories. I mean, actually, in the beginning, I was speaking about 5 years back when Frank and when I met Frank here in the co-working space, and we didn't know what is Ninox, in fact. So what is the category where Ninox falls into? And then at some point, John Reimer was co-creating the expression of low code. So we knew a little bit more, basically. and then we were put on G2 Crowd into the category of low code, and at some point they moved us to no code, and we had a discussion with them around it, and basically, so I think that the requirement to be a no code tool is the possibility to create an application without having to write a single line of code. And this is, I think that's the case with Ninox, and this is also the case for a couple of other tools. And on the other hand, you have low-code tools, but you need to be able in a certain way to access the code layer. So this is why we would say no code. But of course, and you're right with this, Uwe, Ninox has this accessibility of the code layer, so it's very close. So you can access code, and I think this is also differentiating Ninox from the other tools, from the other platforms, from the other no-code platforms, that you have the possibility to use code, to create triggers, to create formulas, and to automate things. But yeah, so they're open.
As you see, unfortunately, sometimes you get forced into like this kind of discussions. At the end of the day, it's like what Alex said, we are part of democratizing software. We want to enable professional business people to solve problems with software without coding, even if it's with a minimum amount of coding. At the end, it's about this vision, right? What drives us, and if we are there or not, and what are the dynamics of the market, that is something we all have to find out. But the ultimate goal is that, and you can do this already to a certain extent. What Alex just mentioned is like build applications without the necessity to write code, right? If you want, we let you do. And that is what we have to figure out, like how much can you open it up, because like it's at the end, it's two different kind of target audiences, right? So there are many people, by the way, we also learned, who became a coder through no-code experience. So this is also an interesting dynamic we see. But yeah, again, I mean, for us, it's about enabling people with less let's say programming skills or no skills in this regard to build business applications which help them to solve business automation problems. And if that is no code, low code, or next year someone else is coming with even a different term, it won't change the mission, right? Yeah.
Okay, I think we can take one more. Robert Falk has joined. Falk Ruhul.
I have one question. I agree that the old design was rather bland, but the new design is a little bit too nice. But what irritates me most is that these designs sometimes are really graphically irritating. Let's show the share screen.
Sorry, I didn't understand acoustically. What is the new design?
Okay, I want to share the screen. Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Take some time. Just take the diagram for the database. There's these two stripes, two dots, and then there's some sort of whale, which geometrically sits in front, but is larger. It's irritating here. It doesn't match.
You mean the icon?
The icon, yes.
The icons. Yeah, I think there's some choice, but it's a bit a matter of taste.
Sorry, I didn't understand the issue fully, but
I think yeah, if you like, Falk, you can also share your screen. So there's a green button.
Yes.
Which are freigeben.
I know.
And then you have to pick your.
But I have a Mac which is very picky. The security like.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. So now we can see something.
So that's this type of shade. It doesn't match. It's not a 3D design.
Yeah, that's true. It's not three-dimensional, not how do you say, not perspective.
Yes,
like in the drawing class.
and that's
with
irritating.
the how do you say, it's not a circle in English when you have to use a ruler and the perspective. Yeah, I see what you mean. Interesting. I didn't think this way. But
So we learned a lot about these icons. It's always a balance between, let's say, artistic freedom, branding, and functionality. And we understand that there is certain amount of customers, or even the same users. Sometimes one day you are like that, or for one project or one database you need it like that, and for another you need it in a different way. But we understand that there is a need for let's say less branded or more neutral version of icons, and this will be probably be updated if we in general touch the icons, as Frank pointed out, like none of the existing icons, I mean also including these ones, we didn't really touch the metaphors, right? We just changed the visuality, but we didn't update it, for example, the image, the pictogram, which is used to explain a certain thing. And once we prioritize this, we understand that there is a need for a simplified version of these icons. And then again, coming back to this customization theme, that will be probably be part of a richer experience.
Sounds interesting. Actually, that's great. Actually, it looks a little bit similar to the first Ninox icon. So, and I wanted to raise this question actually. Please write in the chat if you know how the first Ninox icon looked like. Someone? I don't remember how it looked like actually, to be honest. Yeah, probably. And we have Stefan on the panel. Greetings, Stefan.
Alex, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. And you?
Yeah, I also love the new Ninox version. Some of the features we already knew from the next.ninox.com, and we've been using them for quite a while, especially the deep links I love. The conditional formatting is very nice. One thing I had, well, from different sides, I heard complaints about the new design. Of course, it's very hard to be everybody's darling, and there's always something people like or something that people don't like. The main thing I heard that is the views are a little bit too light, especially the table views that you can't really, it's very bright, and especially if you work in the evenings or like the modern OLED devices have the dark mode feature to save battery life and all that things. So I would suggest, and I think it is possible with, well, not too much effort to have at least, if not a theming possibility, at least a dark mode or something. And I tried something with my limited HTML knowledges. So if you don't mind, I would like to show you my idea of Ninox dark mode. That's,
so you hacked Ninox.
I did. I admit,
hack.
Guilty.
That's not possible.
Okay.
It's not possible.
Can you see my screen here?
Yes.
It's not supposed to be possible.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, okay. So this is our CRM I've been using for and developing for quite a while. And I did some little hacks, and I want to show you how Ninox could like in a dark mode that might be switchable or something. That would be something like this. That is oriented like to 99% of the Apple human interface design guidelines with the grayscales and all of that. And I would say, at least, I mean, this would be not so much effort to do something like this, to have it like at least the dark mode to work in the evenings, or to save battery if you're on the way with your iPad and something like this.
Okay,
that is a suggestion to do something, because of course this is a hack. That means every time I leave a form view, of course, it falls back to the default theme, of course, but at least that is a suggestion. And well, because I heard from different corners that the people don't like it too light, and if you look in the beta team, is already some upvotes for the UI. It would be nice to have it, well, at least a little bit flexible. And yeah, theming, I think, I know that would be much more effort, but my suggestion for at least a dark theme would be nice to have it like this. And by the way, I think it's quite also elegant way. I mean,
thanks for the work on this. Would you be able to share this somehow?
Well, yeah, it's not so special, because I've been using the inspector of a browser and try to identify all that style sheets, and this is what I've done here. It's only a few line codes, and I only hacked the CSS style sheet. That's all.
Yes, dark mode is for sure something we talked about, and it's again part of customization, accessibility, and themes. And but yeah, if you can share this would definitely be helpful to. Well,
of course, this is not far from being perfect, because there are still some, and that's a bit more difficult, some pop-ups windows that are hard to identify with a browser inspector. So it's far from being productive for productive use. That's why I have my emergency switch that I can return to the default theme on click.
Yeah, I think that was the highlight today.
And you did all of that without a single line of code, right?
Oh, yeah, well, not a single, but at least not too much. No? And this is what I've done. All you can see here.
Maybe for everyone in the call, yes, dark mode, we heard you.
Okay. I have created a ticket as well.
It's also about accessibility, and this will come for sure. The question is when.
Robert, I have created a ticket for the product team as well today, for the dark theme.
The dark team.
Yeah, for the dark team.
Dark team.
Team. It's
okay,
dark
I think
team.
that's a quite interesting outcome of this.
The dark side of Ninox.
A quite interesting and surprising outcome of this Ninox 3.0 community webinar.
Yeah, I think we should leave it here.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it can't get any better.
No, for sure not. Yeah. So thanks everyone for taking the time and attending. Last words.
I'm blown away. I can't say anything. No, thanks really for your time. Thanks for giving us all that feedback. And as we have seen with this nice presentation with the dark mode, Ninox is part of us, part of everyone from the team, but we also recognize it's part of your daily work and what you guys do. And I think that's the best thing we can achieve as a product. So thanks so much, and speak soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.